Hi there, Karen Flaherty from Living by Human Design. Hope you're doing well. Today's Human Design weather is the Gate 39, which is all about provocation. Okay, so we start this week in the Gate 39, which is the Gate of Provocation. It started July 1st in the morning, and the Gate 39 comes off the right side of the root center, right over here. It's paired with the Gate 38, which is the Gate of the Fighter, or knowing what's worth fighting for, which is comes off the left side of the root center. So the 39 is the pressure to provoke, and the 38 is the pressure to fight. And so both of these are very when you put them together, they're very much about provocation, violence, rage, the urge to tease or provoke or, somehow get under people's skin. So it's a really touchy energy for some people, but it serves a purpose, as they always do. This week, we start with 4 centers defined: the ajna, the throat, the sacral, and the root center. And then by July 3rd, when Venus moves into the Gate 35, then we actually add the solar plexus. So for July 1st, 2nd, we've just got these 4 centers defined with the 2343 and the 360, which is still still creating a channel here. And then we add the emotional energy, which just in time for the 4th of July, we get a few fireworks. So that'll be interesting. But you're going to feel emotional with the solar plexus, kind of energetic with the sacral, and grounded with the root center. So hopefully those play well for you, but it is a lot of energy. That's 5 centers defined over the 4th of July weekend. So hopefully we all make it through that. So with the sun in Gate 39, as I said, we call it provocation. It can also be called obstruction in the original I Ching. It's the value of obstruction in provoking analysis, assessment, and reevaluation. So it serves a purpose. The 39 is, is there to, as I like to, say, or other colleagues say, it's like flicking the like if you have a glass of water and it's filled to the very top, it's like flicking the top off of the water, so that that what they call the tensile strength that keeps a bubble gets flicked and gets provoked and perhaps bursts. In the incarnation crosses this week, because of that flicking energy, it's the cross of tension or provocation and individualism, which we'll see later on. This Gate 38 is called the Gate of the Fighter. And so it's called opposition or the fighter in the original I Ching. As I said, it's about knowing what's worth fighting for. So not fighting over every single thing, but having the ability to fight for what you need to fight for. And it's the ability to preserve individual integrity through opposition to detrimental forces. So it's things that are affecting you, things that are upsetting you that you might fight about, but you'll pick your battles, basically. You're not going to fight over everything. And in the Gene Keys, struggle is the shadow. Here, perseverance is the gift, and honor is the CD. So when we talk about the Gene Key 39, in this graphic, Richard says, liberation is about being free from provocation. So this is obviously the opposite of the shadow side, which is the actual provocation. Liberation is about being free from provocation. And isn't that the truth, right? I mean, if you can live, or let's say, if you don't have anyone in your life who's provoking you in some way, that's liberation. That's a real freedom. And so here the shadow is the provocation. The gift is dynamism, because with that provocation, you actually can create an environment where things can change, right? Where things get provoked into change for the good of everyone. That's really what this energy is about. And the CD, as I said, is liberation. So he also says, only in giving up the illusion of your individual freedom can you receive an even greater gift, which is the liberation of being. So if we don't have individual freedom and we all have collective freedom, that's the liberation that he's talking about. It doesn't come easily, but I guess the intention is that it will come. So we have a number of personalities in the Sun Gate 39. This week, we've got everybody from Tom Cruise and Princess Diana to the fashion designer Pierre Cardin, the Dalai Lama, Malia Obama, Lindsay Lohan, Herman Hesse, George W. Bush, Ringo Starr, Henry VIII, Sylvester Stallone. You can see how they all have a bit of, or lived, let's say, with a bit of provocation, with a little bit of tension, with a little bit of upsets, perhaps, in their lives. Or, even like with George W. Bush, for example, he's a manifester with this Gate 39, the Gate of Provocation, and what happens when he runs for the highest office in the land as president. There's a tie. There's a very close runoff, right, for president, and caused a Supreme Court decision in his favor. So he went out there, but it was still kind of provocative in the way it all happened. Today we're going to be talking about the U.S. Basically the birth of the U.S. and the Constitution and the signing of the Declaration of Independence, which was kind of interesting. It's literally considered to be the birth of the United States of America, which we celebrate each year on July 4th. And so I thought I'd bring this chart up because I don't know if I've ever brought a country's chart up for you. But of course we peg it to July 4th, 1776. And I did find a time. They do peg the timing of the actual signing of the Declaration of Independence at 5:10 p.m. in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And so we're able to create a chart from that. And so it makes the United States, and so basically it's the same idea. It's the birth of a country is the, whatever the official act is that creates that country. And so that creates the chart. And so it's the same as if I had done any baby's chart. Given that the United States of America is a projector, it's a 5-1 profile, and it's the left angle cross of individualism. And so in a way, I'm not really surprised at any of those pieces of the puzzle. We can all see how the United States could be considered to be a very individual type of country. It was founded in a way that many other countries weren't, and that it was not without its provocations, right? I mean, we started with putting the American Native Americans off their original land. We brought slavery into the country, and it was all, and then purported to have religious freedom and a number of other freedoms that other countries didn't have. So it was a very provocative start. It was a very provocative continuation for many, many years. I did see an article actually today that was an editorial, but basically questioned America's individualism and, basically has that run out? Is it time for something that's more community oriented and more socially oriented so that we're all benefiting as opposed to just a few people? So as we look at the chart, it definitely has the Gate 39 in the conscious sun, 38, the fighter in the conscious earth. Over here, completing the incarnation cross is the Gate 51, which is the Gate of shock, and the Gate 57, which is the Gate of intuition. So it's an interesting combination in this incarnation cross: the 39, provocation, the fighter, shock, and intuition. So the idea would be that creating the provocation for a purpose that's worth fighting for. In other words, the freedoms that we wrote in the Declaration of Independence, along with some shock and some intuitive knowledge or intuitive knowing that helps us to get where we want to be. It's also interesting that in the moon is the Gate 30, which is the Gate of intensity, and basically amps up everything else in the chart. And also intuition shows up again. And actually, intuition shows up again in Saturn. So that's 3 times on the unconscious side that 57 shows up. And then 57 is connected to the 20, which is all about being able to speak in the moment. So intuitively speaking in the moment is what this channel is about. And it plays out, I would say, in being able to be in the moment, for example, and say what needs to be said, such as after 9/11, when George W. Bush was standing on the pile of rubble at the World Trade Center and basically gave a pep talk to all the people that were there and to the entire nation. that we will get through this. Another complete channel here is the 4816, which is the channel of talent. It's getting to the bottom of things, really knowing something very deeply, and then being enthusiastic about it. And I think you can see signs of that in the government. 317 is all about leadership, and it's small d democratic leadership. In other words, being, as most of our politicians are, invited into the roles that they play by the voters. The 31 is the gate of influence, which allows us to, well, for whatever we do say, it will be influential. The 62 is all about details. The 45 is the gate of the king. And so we, I'd have to say patriarchal energy that in, for example, in England or another country with a female leader like Australia or New Zealand, like New Zealand, would be a matriarchal society. But ours is still patriarchal to this day, and at least at the top. And so, it's basically got this kingdom energy about it. And then the 13, which is the listener, so that's interesting. The 35 is all about change. And we all, the US is nothing if not changing and changeable and mutable in terms of what it does. 22, interesting, charm and grace. That sometimes plays out, not all the time. The 51 comes off the will center, and that is the gate of shock. 6 is all about, now this is not a surprise, because the 6 is all about being the caretaker, or the warrior, really. It's really about being the warrior. And so, in that vein, we have a very strong national defense system that purportedly keeps us safe and is there should we go to war. Now, one thing I had not noticed is that before, at least, and that I'm noticing now, is that the sacral is completely open. This is a completely open sacral. There's no sacral energy coming off here at all. So this is a very open projector type of energy. And, to be honest, what I would say to a person who might have this chart is that this is somebody who could be, when it comes to work and sex, it can go from one extreme to another. So in terms of the work, you could do nothing, or you could be completely the workaholic. When it comes to sex, you can be the nun, or you can be the whore. And it goes runs the entire gamut. And it only depends on the energies that are around this projector person or country that allow it to show itself in terms of whatever energy's around. So basically, it's taking in the energy that's there and projecting it. It depends on what kind of energy is apparent or in the zeitgeist, basically, of the country in terms of how it'll show up for the country. So that's kind of interesting. It's got the 60, which is the gate of evolution and growth, both conscious and unconscious, down here in Pluto. And the 52 is the gate of concentration. We actually talked about that last week. And then beyond that, it's got the 4130, which is all about fantasy and desire. So we have these fantastical ideas of what the United States should be, or would be, or could be, and it's connected to the desires, which are all about the intensity and helping them to become, helping those fantasies to become reality, and not always winning, basically, or succeeding, I should say. So with the root, theoretically, we're grounded. With the solar plexus, we've got some emotional energy going on. So this 4130 is a collective energy, and so it'll be emotional and play out with regard to expectations, which again could be interpreted as the expectations that we hold for the country, for each other, actually play out, whether it's in the stock market or in politics or in other types of economic expectations, in the social programs that we put out and things like that. There are certain expectations that come along with this energy. The head and the ajna are completely open, which allows us to have, quite a creative bent, if you will. I would hesitate, it's hard to create a country or think of a country as a person, but, this would be a very creative very creative person who would have lots of ideas coming in and out all the time, which I think we do as a country, but also not really knowing what's right at the right time, and yet holding on to certain beliefs and ideas and concepts that may seem correct at the time, but then change. And so it can, kind of go either way with how the information and the inspiration play out with the head and the ajna. And then as a projector, it doesn't really have a voice, which is interesting because, the wisdom, we could think of it as wisdom and guidance and, helping people to play out have solutions for their issues. On the other hand, it doesn't have much of a voice. And so, I just wonder about the bureaucracy and the democracy that goes with the country as we have it now, 247 years hence, or are there possibilities for change? Is it possible to be less bureaucratic while being more helpful to people? Those are, questions that I'm sure come up all the time in the halls of Congress, and yet it feels like we're stuck. And this 39 can get very stuck. One of the shadow energies is being trapped. The other side of it is being provocative, and goodness knows we've been provocative as a country to other countries, to other friends and foes alike. We've played out lots of different provocative energies. And yet that shadow side of the provocation can, as I said, be either repressed and therefore trapped, or it can be reactive and therefore very provocative. And, if we can move a little bit further ahead into dynamism, that would be a really good thing for the United States and for everyone involved. So that's a little bit about the United States. I hope that helps. I hope you have a wonderful 4th of July and get to spend time with family and friends, and enjoy yourselves. Take care.